Hello and welcome to my kitchen, where I thought that I would do a little thing today called Cooking with FiFi, which is a nickname that I gave myself when I was a little girl and I used to go over to my godmother's house to play. So I thought it would be fun. I'm doing a little Sunday meal prep, and today I'm making a cilantro lime marinade for a flank steak. I really love skirt steak, but they didn't have any, and that is a good solution. So my heart is beating really fast. I'm trying to calm myself down because you may or may not know that I'm into mindful eating and digestive health. So I'm gonna try and slow myself down so that we can go through making this marinade mindfully together. So I'm gonna stand up tall and take a nice deep breath, and we're gonna start out with our cilantro. So I'm gonna take a nice big whiff of it. This doesn't smell that much compared to normal, but it's still sort of fresh and crispy. I know a lot of people talk about it tasting like soap, but that's not for me. So I'm just gonna cut the ends off. Even though it's a marinade, they look a little funky, and I'm just gonna put them in my scrap to the side. And then I'm gonna cut off some of these top leaves because I'm gonna save them for later as a garnish. So cilantro is super popular in Ayurveda, which is what my digestive health schooling is in. And it's also the sister science to yoga. And I'm a yoga therapist. So I sort of like to know how it all goes together. So we're gonna put this in a blender. It's just a rough chop here. It's all gonna get chopped up anyway. It just makes it a little easier. Okay. My heart is still racing because this is the first time that I've ever cooked in front of everyone. And you know, I wiped my fingers on my sweatshirt. Guess what? If you were in a restaurant, that would be a serious no-no. Luckily, we're in my home kitchen and it's just me and my hubby that's gonna be eating it. But I did wash my hands before this. So let's move along. We have an orange and 2 limes. The lime feels rough and smooth at the same time. And I noticed that there's quite a bit of color variations. There's a lighter green, darker green. It doesn't have too much of a smell, but it's pretty firm. Now, if it's really firm, it's probably not ripe yet. And if it's overly soft, then it's probably too ripe. So what we're gonna do is get a little hand massage and get some of the juices flowing. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for both of them. And it's the juice that I'm really after, so we wanna make sure we have as much as possible. Oh yeah, I forgot. I wanted to grate a little bit. Now, just know if you're gonna do this, it can be a little dangerous. And so I'm just gonna do a little bit because I've cut myself before and I'm super nervous. So I'm gonna take another deep breath and just grate over here, rotating slightly as we go along. Oh, now I can really smell this zest. Oh, you know what? That is so refreshing. I love the smell of lime. You might hear my puppies trying to come in from outside. I don't really want to let them in yet, but if it gets out of control, I will. Okay, so we didn't go crazy on the zest because I don't want to keep you all day. I want to get this marinade made. I'm just gonna squeeze it right in there. Oh yeah, we're trying to be mindful here, right? So this is what real life mindfulness is about. And I don't always have time to be here all day being like, oh, this smells so good and this texture. But while we're being mindful and remembering to do these things, getting a totally different texture in here, right? So it's slippery and it's juicy. And that is exactly what sour taste does. And citrus, it makes your mouth water, and also it produces more juices all the way down. So it's gonna make your digestion a little stronger, a little warmer, and since we're working with a heavy protein here, it's gonna aid in the digestibility of that. Oh, so we got lucky. I'm getting lots of juice out of this lime. Hopefully you can hear it. So one of my favorite ways to be mindful is to work with the senses. We've been doing some stuff with color. We can notice the texture. I'm gonna wipe this on the side to get a little extra stuff out. And you know, this actually smells a little bit more bitter now. That's interesting. So bitter makes it more cooling, the bitter taste. You don't really think of a lime being bitter, but if you go down too far in the skin to the white part, it really is. So almost there. You know what, one of the great things about a marinade is that you really don't have to be exact. I can feel my shoulders getting a little stiff here from my nerves and keeping my arms up and probably juicing my lime like this. So I'm gonna keep breathing through this marinade that we're making together. You know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let these dogs in and introduce you to my newest member of the family. Bear with me here. Hi, Lily. Where's your friend? Sorry about that. So newest member of the family is not quite ready to come in yet, but my trusty, faithful Lily is. So regrouping now, we're gonna move to this orange. Some things I can do mindfully is note the texture of this again. It's significantly rougher than the lime and it feels completely different in my hand. Probably would have thought before, oh, it's just a citrus skin. It's kind of amazing, actually. It's got a lot more dimples in it too. So sometimes scent is very subtle, but because I just smelled this lime and the lime juice, I can make out some subtle differences, but you know, when we start grating it, it's definitely going to get stronger. So I can feel myself getting calmer now. It might sound crazy, but even though I'm doing this grating, I'm trying to ground down through my feet. Because sometimes we just get too much up in our head and we need to get back in our body. And cooking should be a sensual thing, right? So now I can definitely smell this more, well, still citrus, brighter maybe aroma. And it is also juicy on the inside, but you know what? It's got a little stickiness to it because the orange has more sugars. And this is making my mouth water so much that it's really tempting me to, and we want to make sure we don't get any seeds. It's really tempting me to want to have a little bite of it now. Actually no seeds in here. So I'm just going to stick the tip of my knife in to get a little extra juice out. Oh yeah, this is a hard one to resist. It's so funny because other than clementines, I really never eat oranges or drink orange juice, but it seems so good right now. Do you want to know a little secret what I do? When I have grapefruit, I drink the juice off the plate. It's just like once you get started, you just want all of it. Okay, so I'm a little bit there. I'm just gonna rinse off my hands. Quick rinse. Oops, over here. Okay, so we have our reserved cilantro. I have some green onions, a leftover regular onion, and then the magic stuff right here, and some garlic. So this marinade is taking longer to put together. Normally it would only be a few minutes, but I was trying to get settled down, and through that settling, I was trying to be mindful. So, let's see, let's put this onion in here next. It's not that much, we don't need that much, it's just sort of a bonus. I was actually gonna throw this in some chicken stock. Now see, because I'm still a little nervous, I completely forgot about the mindfulness again. And see, that's the beauty of meditation, right? Everybody thinks they can't meditate, but the truth is, it's just coming back into your focus. So I've been meditating probably since I was 16, and how many times have I gotten distracted with mindful eating here? So we're just gonna keep coming back to it every time. We're in a new ingredient, we have a new opportunity, it's a new moment here. And so now we're working with a completely different texture. This is very smooth onion. On the inside is much like the citrus, it's kind of juicy. But the flavor is doing something completely different. I can literally feel it opening up my nostrils as I take a deep breath. Luckily, it's not making me cry. So the onion is having more of an opening effect, right? The citrus, the lime was more cooling and juicy. This is more pungent. And so pungent is gonna kind of fire things up, activate things. Put this away. Let me see here. So these chipotle chilies are the magic ingredient here. I love these things, but they offer a little bit more kick. So what we want to make sure that we do is start with a little and add more, because you can't take this out, and I don't have any more ingredients to add in if we need to thin this out. Okay. So there's chilies and then there's the chili oil. So I'm just gonna put one of these in and no extra sauce at the moment. I'm just gonna see how it goes. Let me rinse my hands again. And here we are at another mindful opportunity. So when I put that in, it's actually the slipperiest of everything that we've done so far. Oh, and when I smell these, you know, it almost smells like a campfire. It's very smoky. And it's not burning my nose, but I'm gonna recommend that if you're gonna be doing anything with hot peppers, that you definitely be mindful of smelling them up close like I am, and fingers. Lots of times you'll have something else later and burn your eyes or burn your mouth. Okay, so let's put a couple garlic cloves in. Can you tell that I'm still really nervous? I'd like to come back and do this again, if you'll have me. And you know it's just gonna get better every time. And that's how meditation is as well. Some days it's just smooth flowing, you're mindful all the way. And other days you just have to keep bringing yourself back and bringing yourself back. And the thing is, when you get a little stressed or distracted, it's gonna be harder. It's just like breathing through plank. You're gonna hold your breath if you're super stressed, but once you kind of melt into the moment, you can tell yourself you're being calm there. And that's what I'm reminding myself to do. This is a very good example of adding a little stress to a situation, but trying to be mindful and to make a good marinade at the same time. My hands are even shaking a little bit. So we're in the home stretch here. I'm gonna add in 3 garlic cloves and some green onions, and then we're gonna get to blending and keep our fingers crossed. Mindful moment. So the outside of the garlic is papery. It's crunchy. I can hear it making a sound. And a couple of these even have little green tops on them. So sometimes people don't eat that, but because it's going into a marinade, I'm really not worried about the flavor changing that much or the intensity of it. And if I was making a stock, I would just even throw these right in. So mindful moment here with the garlic. This is much like the onion in its texture, but even smoother. And you can see little veins going through it. So this garlic is opening me up the same way that these chipotles did. I wonder if there's garlic in here because it's having a very similar effect. In fact, there is. It's the very last ingredient, but just because of how I could feel it on my nose, I knew that it was in there. I mean, I've probably looked at that label 1,000 times, but let's just pretend that I didn't because it felt the same way. It was pungent, right? Okie dokie. So our green onions, I love these things. They're super crunchy. I can use them. There's a bunch here, so I can use them later in the week. This has much less smell than the onion. Of course, I haven't cut into it yet. And they're a little crunchy too. So lots of different sounds, lots of different textures. The ends of these look pretty good, so I'm gonna keep them. And I'm just giving these a rough chop because again, it's going into the blender. I'm gonna go almost down to the white section, then reserve this for my soup stock. FYI, I'm not putting the citrus in the soup stock, only the onions and garlic, that type of stuff for today. Okay, it's the moment of all moments now. I apologize for the noise, but you know that this is real now. So I'm just gonna pulse it at first and get the bigger chunks out. We might even have to add some water, we'll see. It's pretty chunky, but it's coming along. Since it's a marinade, I want it to be as smooth as possible and increasing the surface area, getting all those enzymes going. Let's give it a sample. Now you know what I'm gonna do here, since I'm attempting to be proper. I'm gonna get a couple spoons. Then I'm not double dipping. So I'm just gonna take a little bite because we don't really know what's going on here. First, I'm gonna smell it in our mindful moment. This is super pungent. At first, I get the little citrus notes. And it makes me want to go back and get more of the juice. But then I'm hit with the pungent, and now I'm getting hit with the heat. So I don't need to add any more adobo in because this thing is plenty hot. It's still a little bit chunky. I do think I might add a little bit of water because that juice is so good. I could seriously drink that. I'm digging the orange. Ooh, that is hot. But good hot, not too hot. So, another mindful moment here. We have tons of colors. Even though it's all blurred together, tons of texture, tons of color. I don't know if you can see that, but if you make this marinade, you definitely will. And you know what I'm realizing? It needs a little salt. Let me see here. Grounding for a moment and just thinking, is there anything else that this marinade might need? Okay. Just to put it on the meat as soon as possible. Let's give it another spin around. Super fresh. So I only have a few hours until dinner, but if you wanted to let it sit overnight, that would probably be even better. Okay, so got our little mess over here. I'm just gonna move some things out of the way. And okay, now I need to get these raw steaks out of the sink and onto this tray, so bear with me here for a moment. And let's try and do this mindfully. So here's my flank steaks. I actually got 2 of them because they go down really easily. So you just want to make sure not to splatter any blood anywhere that you might not really actively be working. So whether we were being mindful or not, you should smell your meat because you want to know if it's fresh, right? So all these things are actually built into our survival as well. It is. And this meat has a completely different smell, flavor, texture, colors, everything. So a tip for anxiety and stress management, is to get into your senses and get into your body. What's really helping me come down out of my head right now is moving into my hands and noticing the texture more than anything. So this one needs to be unfolded. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit longer. And we're gonna cook these puppies on the big green egg tonight. So let me rinse my hands real quick. Gonna use soap this time, don't worry. Okay. Now I probably could have just touched my machine anyway because I'm getting ready to get my hands all dirty again, but I would rather be on the safe side and just keep them clean. So we have our steaks here and our trusty marinade. Let's make sure we get everything off. Have another mindful moment here because the contrast of this marinade and the beef is like Christmas. It's actually quite vibrant. And if I wasn't paying attention, I probably really wouldn't have noticed the brightness of the meat if it wasn't for the brightness of this marinade. And I probably wouldn't notice that my mouth is still watering, right? I'd just be focused on getting this done, hurry, 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 on to the next thing. But starting to really enjoy myself and get into this, getting calmer. See how checking in and working with the senses can help kind of bring you back to earth. So let's have a little fun here, right? We're gonna get our hands dirty again. I have a pretty much half and half here, and I just wanna work it in. I wanna make sure that we're getting both sides, so I'm taking some out of the tray. Let's massage this beef a little bit. Now, if you joined my 5-day mindful eating challenge, you'll know that gratitude is a big one for me. And I think it's on the 2nd day because you have to be sitting down first. That's the first thing we do. But using all these different materials and massaging the meat especially makes me really appreciate this meal. So as I'm working this marinade into this beef to myself and just thanking it, appreciating it, and noticing its beauty even though it's still completely raw. And already I'm just trusting that this meal is gonna work out even though we kind of just winged it, right? But it felt right, everything felt right. And yeah, I'm just gonna believe that it's gonna be delicious. So, gonna wash my hands again, wrap this up and put it in the refrigerator until dinner time, and then we're gonna crank the grill up pretty high. Because these slices are fairly thin, we'll probably sear it on the outside, and we both like it medium rare. So I'll be sure to put pictures in the comments section if you want to see the after. And because I can't touch my camera with meat hands, you're gonna have to come with me to wash my hands again. But before that, I'd like to invite you to my Mindful Eating for Digestive Health Facebook group. Every week there, I do Technique Tuesday, where we learn a little something about how to improve our digestive health or eating mindfully. I also do some health coaching one-on-one, so if that is something that is of interest to you as well, please feel free to reach out. I'm thrilled for you to join me here today on the very first episode of Cooking with FiFi, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I hope that not just learning a recipe was fruitful, but finding out in real life what it's like to have anxiety and try to be mindful while you're also making something delicious. So we're multitasking, but we're also trying to focus all at the same time. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you'd like to have more of these videos, please share this one. The kitchen smells pretty good now just from using these ingredients. I can't wait to smell this puppy on the grill and cut inside. Thanks again.